What if everything you've been told about success is quietly holding you back? What if the rules you've been following, the ones about being loyal, being nice, waiting your turn, are the very things keeping you stuck? Picture this for a moment. A man sits alone in his car. The engine is off, but his mind is racing. His phone trembles in his hand as he calls home. His voice cracks. I don't understand. I did everything right. But here's the uncomfortable truth no one tells you. Doing everything right doesn't guarantee anything. Because life doesn't reward effort the way you think it does. It rewards awareness. It rewards strategy. It rewards those who understand how people actually behave, not how we wish they behaved. Today, you're about to see what most people never dare to face. You'll understand why some people rise, even when they seem less qualified. Why others stay stuck, despite working harder than everyone else. And most importantly, you'll discover 8 powerful principles that can completely change how you move through life. By the end, you won't just think differently, you'll act differently. But first, say this to yourself: I am in control of my path, because everything changes the moment you realize that's true. The illusion of powerlessness. Why do so many people feel stuck? It's not because they lack ability. It's not because they lack opportunity. It's because they've been taught a version of reality that doesn't actually exist. From a young age, we're conditioned to believe that if we follow the rules, stay polite, and remain consistent, everything will work out. That loyalty will always be rewarded. That fairness is guaranteed. But look around. Is that really how the world works? Think about the people who never say no, the ones who avoid confrontation, the ones who keep waiting for someone to recognize their effort. Where are they now? Still waiting, still hoping, still believing that one day someone will notice. But here's the truth: the world doesn't reward passivity. It responds to awareness and action. When you become predictable, you become easy to overlook. When you always comply, you become easy to replace. This isn't about being harsh. It's about being honest. Life operates on patterns of behavior, and those who understand those patterns move differently. The moment you stop expecting the world to hand you recognition is the moment you begin to create it for yourself. 1. See people for who they are. Most people don't struggle because life is unfair. They struggle because they misunderstand people. We tend to assume others think like us, that they share our values, that they'll respond the same way we would. But they don't. Every individual operates based on their own priorities, their own fears, their own needs. Even when someone helps you, it may not be purely selfless. They may gain satisfaction, recognition, or leverage. This doesn't make people bad. It makes them human. The problem isn't that people act in their own interest. The problem is expecting them not to. When you start observing instead of assuming, everything becomes clearer. You notice patterns, you recognize intentions, you understand motivations, and that changes how you respond. Instead of being disappointed, you become prepared. Instead of being reactive, you become strategic. Watch what people do, not just what they say, because actions reveal truth. Words often hide it. The goal isn't to become cynical, it's to become aware. There's a difference. The naive trust blindly. The paranoid trust no one. The wise trust with understanding. Ask yourself, which one are you? 2. Master your reactions. You don't lose control in big moments. You lose it in small ones. A comment, a delay, a disagreement. That's where your true self shows. Anyone can appear calm when things are going well, but pressure reveals everything. Watch someone in traffic. Watch someone criticized. Watch someone ignored. Their reaction tells you more than their words ever could. The same applies to you. Every reaction sends a message. Anger can signal insecurity. Defensiveness can signal weakness. Panic can signal lack of preparation. But control signals power. The ability to pause even for a second changes everything. Because in that pause you choose. You don't react, you respond. And that difference is everything. The next time you feel triggered, stop, breathe, wait. Even 3 seconds is enough. Those seconds give you clarity. They give you control. They give you an advantage. You don't need to suppress emotion. You need to direct it. Because the person who controls their response controls the situation. 3. Balance kindness with boundaries. Being liked is not the same as being respected. And many people confuse the two. If you're always available, always agreeable, always accommodating, you may be appreciated, but not valued. Why? Because what's always available is rarely respected. On the other hand, being too rigid creates distance. So what's the balance? Respect with boundaries. You can be kind, but not easily used. Helpful, but not taken for granted. Approachable, but not predictable. Start simple. Say no when needed. Don't over-explain your decisions. Protect your time. Limit your energy around those who drain it. When people realize your time has value, they treat it differently. And here's the key. Consistency builds credibility. Your boundaries shouldn't be emotional. They should be steady. That's what earns respect. Not fear. Not dominance. Clarity. 4. Turn disappointment into data. When someone lets you down, most people react emotionally. They feel hurt. They replay the situation. They dwell on it. But there's a better approach. Treat it as information. Because every disappointment reveals something. What someone values. How they behave under pressure. Where their limits are. This is insight. And insight is power. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what does this teach me about them? And even more importantly, what does this teach me about my own judgment? Because often, the signs were there. We just ignored them. Not because we're foolish, but because we wanted to believe something different. The more you learn from these moments, the sharper you become. You stop repeating mistakes. You stop trusting blindly. You start deciding wisely. 5. Develop detachment. Desperation weakens you. Whether it's for a job, a relationship, or approval, the more you need something, the less control you have. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about not depending. You can want success without needing it to feel worthy. You can value people without losing yourself in them. This mindset changes how you show up. You negotiate better. You decide clearer. You walk away when necessary. Because you're not trapped, you have options. And options create power. Build alternatives in every area of your life. More skills, more opportunities, more independence. The less you rely on one outcome, the stronger you become in all of them. 6. Use silence strategically. Most people talk too much. They explain everything. They reveal their plans too early. They fill every silence with words. But silence is powerful. When you speak less, people listen more. When you don't reveal everything, you maintain control. When you pause, you observe. And observation gives you insight. You don't need to share every thought. You don't need to justify every action. You don't need to respond instantly. Let people wonder. Let them reveal themselves. Because the one who listens carefully always learns more than the one who speaks constantly. 7. Take bold action. Most people wait. They wait for clarity. They wait for confidence. They wait for the perfect moment. When everything feels aligned. When doubt disappears. When the path ahead seems guaranteed. At that moment, it rarely comes. Because clarity is not something you find, it's something you build through movement. Confidence is not something you feel first, it's something you earn through action. Progress doesn't belong to the ones who think the most. It belongs to the ones who move, not recklessly, but decisively. There's a difference. Reckless action ignores consequences. Decisive action understands them and moves anyway. Start small. You don't need a massive leap to begin. You need a step. Take manageable risks. Ones that stretch you, but don't break you. Ones that teach you, even if they don't immediately reward you. Test your ideas in the real world, because thinking about something is never the same as doing it. Learn quickly, adjust faster, and most importantly, act again. Because action is not a one-time event. It's a cycle. Move, learn, refine, repeat. That's how progress is built. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from it. Every step forward, no matter how small, builds momentum. Every decision, no matter how uncertain, builds strength. You begin to trust yourself. Not because everything worked out, but because you proved you can handle what doesn't, and that changes everything. Because once you trust your ability to adapt, fear loses its grip. The biggest risk isn't failure. Failure teaches, failure sharpens. Failure moves you forward in ways comfort never will. The biggest risk is standing still. Because when you stand still, nothing changes. No growth, no momentum, no new opportunities. Just the slow weight of what if building over time. So move, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncertain, even if it's uncomfortable. Because action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action shapes your future. And the sooner you start, the further ahead you'll be. 8. Build a powerful identity. Your reputation speaks before you do. Long before you enter a room, people already have an impression of you. It shapes how people treat you. It influences how they respond to your ideas, your presence, even your silence. It determines what opportunities come your way. Doors open or stay closed based on what others believe about you. It affects how seriously you're taken, whether your words carry weight or are easily dismissed. And none of this happens overnight. It's built slowly, quietly, over time, through consistency, through discipline, through integrity. It's built in the small moments no one applauds, the promises you keep when it's inconvenient, the effort you give when no one is watching, the standards you hold, even when it would be easier to lower them. Do what you say you'll do. Not sometimes, every time. Show up when it matters, especially when it's difficult. Stand by your standards, even when you're pressured to compromise. Because once people trust your consistency, everything changes. Your words carry more weight. Your presence commands more respect. People begin to rely on you, not because you ask them to, but because you've proven yourself. Respect grows, opportunities expand, influence increases, and this growth compounds. One act of reliability leads to another opportunity. One display of discipline builds another layer of trust. Over time, your reputation becomes an asset that works for you, without you needing to chase recognition. But this isn't about image. It's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about alignment. Who you are and how you act must match. Your values should be visible in your behavior. Your standards should be reflected in your actions. Because people can sense inconsistency. And once trust is broken, it's difficult to rebuild. But when there is alignment, real alignment, something powerful happens. You become dependable. You become credible. You become someone others respect without question. That's what creates strength that can't be shaken. Now you see it. The patterns, the behaviors, the truths most people ignore. But knowledge alone isn't enough. The real question is, what will you do with it? Will you stay the same? Or will you start moving differently? Because everything you want, clarity, confidence, control, it doesn't come from luck. It comes from awareness and action. Say this to yourself one last time. I am powerful. I am in control. I decide my path. And mean it. Because from this moment forward, you do.